Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Rafed Fraeed. My student number is 101-205-956 and this is Comp 3122 assignment number 4. So first thing is we're going to be working with a CSV file. So we're going to have to import pandas as PD. Question 1 just says save it in a variable, so there's an inbuilt function which is read CSV. And then we just give it a location of where the CSV is, and now we have it in our variable. Number 2, so the first 3 columns, well, I mean, like what was it, first 3 rows, I'm sorry, of the df. So this can be simply used as mydf.head 3, and it's going to show you 1 2 3. Next we want to drop the models. Simply you just say dot drop model, and then you want to remove the column, so you say axis 1. Axis 1 just means the column, so it's gonna look, where's the column? Okay, it's somewhere around here. See, it gets dropped. Number 4, we want to drop it permanently, but we don't want to use in place. So this, you can use the variable and make it equal to this new statement, like mydf.drop model axis is equal to 1. So this table is now the default table. It doesn't have any model. Number 5, let me just read it. Delete rows 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, and 5 permanently, using in place. Then show the first 4 rows. So you can just say dot drop, and then 1 3 5 is just the index. Column, row is just axis 0, and then in place is true. So we don't have 1 3 or 5, as you can see, and this is 1 2 3 4. So we're showing the first 4 rows. mydf.range.mean. We're grabbing this and we're saying what's the mean of it. I'm sure there's they do some calculations in here. They add everything together and divide it by the total amount. I think that's how they get the mean, which is this number. Number 7, I think this is just replacing, but let me double check. How many? Okay, so first we want to see how many F's we have in type, and then replace with AAA. So there's 50 F's right here, and then dot value dot count. It's gonna count all the values which are F in the type column. And then number 2, we want to replace the type which is F with AAA, and as you can see, it's getting replaced. So up here we have F 0 and 6. 0 and 6 is AAA and AAA. Number 8, I believe we have to get rid of. Okay, so as you can see, the cost column has square brackets and dollar bill signs. We're gonna get rid of that, and then we want to see its data types afterwards. So we can just use the dot replace. I made a using curly brackets. We're making key and value. The key that what we want to replace and what it's going to become. So if we have any back square bracket, it's going to replace with nothing. Dollar sign gets replaced with nothing, and same with the forward bracket gets replaced with nothing. Rejects is just so it reads it as it is. It doesn't see it as an inbuilt function, because this is usually for arrays when you have square brackets. But with regex, it just reads it as a standard, what do you want to call it, letter, or it doesn't read it as part of a special character. It's just normal letters. And then in place true, we're gonna make these changes permanent, and the data type of cost is still object. In number 9, it says make the data type of cost as int. We can just use .s-type int, and now as we can see, cost is int 64. Number 10, average cost, and then calculate the average for each continent. So the average cost of the mean of cost is 54. And now what we can do to find the mean of each continent in cost, we can just use group by. So mydf.group by continent takes all the continents. This is all unique. There's no duplicates here when we use group by, and then we say cost mean. So what's the mean of each cost column for each continent? And then we get some numbers here. Now we want to find 3 numbers, min, max, and standard deviation of each continent for the cost column. So again, we're going to use group by continent, so we get unique values, Africa, Antarctica, and all of those in the cost column, and then we want to get the min, max, and standard deviation. And now okay, we want to get of multiple columns, so still group by, but now this time, instead of just having cost, seeing the min, max, and standard deviation of cost, we're gonna have min, max, and standard deviation of the range, value, and cost. So here it is, range for the continents, the min, max, standard deviation, value, and cost. And now number 13. This is just plotting. So we want to make a bar graph that shows the range, value, and cost, the mean for the continent. We're still using group by. So as we can see here, Africa, it has this much range, this much value, and this much cost. And this is all the mean for each continent. Number 14, we're just doing a simple value counts for number 14. Let me double check. Count the number of each continent in continent column. So this is how many times North America appears in the column continent. Same with Africa, same with Australia. We're just counting how many times they appear in the column. Now with this one normalized, we're seeing the percentage of how many times they appear. So as you can see here, instead of having the numbers and then doing the math in our head, or how often it is, it's 15% for North America. That's how many times we see North America appear, 15% of the time. 15% for Africa. Most of them are just 15, and a few 13 and 12%. How many times they appear. Number 16. This one I'm not too sure about it, but I just assumed it's the same as number 14. I did the exact same thing. How many because it's asking show the unique values that we have in continent column, and all of these are already unique. So I said, okay, that's number 1 answered. And then show the number of unique values that we have in the continent column. So I think that was a count So this function already takes care of both those questions in numbers question 16. This is how many unique values we have for each continent, even the names, and then the number. Now we have number 17. Let me just read it. Cost, describe the output. Okay. So we're just counting mydf cost.value counts. How many times 56 appears, 35, 73, and so on and so forth. Return only unique value counts. For example, yeah, as I said, the number 56 appears 20 times in the column cost. Okay, that's all it does. This is another plot. We're making a graph for histogram for the cost, and this is just all inbuilt. So you just have to plug it in and what you want to make the histogram for. This is the value. And now it's it asked us, I think this was the bonus question, to 50 and see the results more accurately. So as you can see, before we put the bins, it's kinda almost all together. You know, it's hard to see where's 35, 40, and 45. No, it's just 20, 40, 50, and 60. For this one, everything is much smaller and it's easier to tell. Okay, this is 20, then 19, 18. You know, you can see more clearly where everything lines up. That's all bins will do. Excuse me. Number 20. How many missing values do we have in zip code? So right here in zip code and type dot is I think it's is not, or is not a number or something, not a value, dot sum, which gives us all the columns that I'm sorry, rows that are null or don't have a value. And then mydf dot, same thing, we're finding not a null or is a null, the sum of, and as you can see, it really is only the type and zip code that don't have any values in those specific columns. We're gonna drop any row that doesn't have a value. So drop an A takes care of that, drop an A, and then axis 0, which is the row. It's gonna go through the whole list and see if anything doesn't have a value, it's gonna drop it. And it's 936 rows. We used to have more, like 940 something. Now number 22. Okay, so my df type value counts, we're counting all the values. Drop an A is not a value, is false, so even the values that don't have anything, as you can see here, it's gonna show you there's 2 rows that don't have any values. Now we're gonna use the fill, not a value, fill an A, to xxx. Anything that doesn't have a value, it's gonna get replaced with xxx, and in place is true. Now we're gonna count everything, count value counts, and it's gonna show you. Sorry. Drop not a value, axis 0 in place is equal to true. It didn't drop anything, as you can see. It's 938 now. It used to be 936, and that's because we replace with not a value with xxx. So the only values that got dropped were the, I believe the was it yes, it was the range or something, because the type, now we replaced not a value with xxx. So now it's 938 instead of 936. Now number 25. Set the ID column as a new index and delete the index name. Okay. So we're gonna print this mydf.setIndex inbuilt function as ID, and now we wanna when we say .rename x is 0.head, we're not gonna give it any name. It's just gonna be the new index, but as you can see, no name. And then it's also asking us another question. Show the first 5 rows of the df where the value is 70 and its header is value. So we can just say mydf add value, which is equal to 70, but as you can see, no value is equal to 70. I'm not sure, but I think the highest it goes like around 50, so that's why we see nothing here. Number 26. Show the index value and the shape of the index, bring back ID, reset the index. I think as soon as I printed my df, the ID was back and we have the shape as well. So this was, I just simply printed the data, my df, because everything is back to normal now. And this is showing us even the shape, so I didn't have to do mydf.shape. 27. Use the describe method to see the statistics of mydf. And also there's fetch the first row and the third of the result. So of course we're going to use describe, but also iloc. It's just like a normal array. It starts from 0 as 1, and then, so as you can see, 0 is 1. 1 becomes, the second row. That's why I say 0 and 2. 0 is actually 1, because that's how normal arrays start, from 0 and onward. So 2 is actually 3. So when we say fetch the first row and the third column of the result, it does 0, 2. Now number 28. Sort value continent of mydf. This one, it's already like value counts, or it has an parameter that has sort. Excuse me. And we can just set this to true, and it's gonna sort for us. As you can see, highest to lowest for the values. And now there was another one. It says, oh yes, sort the index, which is we're gonna chain this command dot value counts, so we get all the values, and then dot sort index. So as you can see, alphabetically. That's how it's gonna sort the object, which is a string. Number 29. Show all the columns of the following rows: 1, 3, 5, and 7. We're still gonna use .iloc. And then it says show the first 7 rows of the following columns, tab and continent. We can just use .head and 7. It's gonna show us the first 7, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So first, third, fifth, and 7th. And the reason it's 2, 6, 8, and 10 is because our rows are already missing the first and third. For you see, the first is missing, third is missing, fifth is missing. That's why we get these numbers instead: 2, 6, 8, and 10. That's our first, third, fifth, and seventh. And then the final question: show the value of the type that are equal to xxx. So we're gonna use log this time. Right here, I'm just saying the data type of type that is equal to xxx for value. Index 693, and this is the value of it. And right here, if 693 42, and then let's say the type was right above it, so this is index, value, and type. So index 693, the value is 42, is equal to xxx. But the reason it doesn't show you, because this is just true or false. So it's not, I'm not asking it to show me, I'm just telling it show me the values where they're equal to xxx, which is index 693 and the value is 42, and index 754 and the value is equal to 37. And that is my presentation. Thank you for listening.